Hello, everyone. I am Janine Stanley, IRA's Explorer Community Manager, welcoming you to Afternoon at the Museum. And today we are going to have the first in a two-part series of, again, another often asked for museum, and that is the American Jazz Museum. And today, before I turn it over to your host, Stephanie Watts, and Agent Caleb, I want to say thank you to Ryan Bishop, our YouTube guy behind the scenes.
Nope,
Hey,
thank
Ryan.
you. Happy to be here, and I'm excited for this museum. I've looked forward to it.
Yeah. So, also wanted to make a couple really short announcements. This is the first in a two-part series, and then we'll be taking a little bit of a break, but we will have a Kwanzaa special toward the end of December. So stay tuned for that one, and then we'll start Afternoon at the Museum again in January with some really fun museums coming up. So, without further ado, I will introduce Miss Stephanie Watts to look at the American Jazz Museum.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm excited. Before we get going, I want to just ask you, Ryan, one more time. Am I okay? I had yet another technical, shall we say, hiccup. So can you hear
you
me?
are
okay?
loud and clear. You're good to go.
Okay. All righty. Well, it didn't say so on my end, but that's okay. That's why I love jazz, because it relaxes me and hopefully everybody else. So, Caleb, where are we in terms of the museum, front door, courtyard?
Okay.
How does that look?
All right. So when you first go into the building, so the Jazz Museum is actually located in the same kind of building complex as the Negro League Baseball Museum.
Okay.
So when you walk into it, it's called the Horace M. Peterson III Visitor Center.
Okay.
And so on the left is the Jazz Museum, on the right is the NLBM, and then so going forward, clicking into the Jazz Museum, there's a desk at the front. The lettering for jazz, it's kind of like if you were to clip the letters from different sources, different media, so each letter has its own kind of font. They're different colors. It's bright greens and purples and oranges that kind of make it up. It's a very, very jazzy, eclectic kind of sign.
Mm-hmm.
And then going past that, there is a brick facade that leads to a hallway. Like for me, it kind of is reminiscent of walking into like a jazz club or like a nightclub or something like that.
Or like the New York Blue Note kind of jazz experience.
Yeah, maybe. and so there's like a long hallway. On the right side of the hallway, there is a quote by Duke Ellington. It says, "Jazz is based on the sound of our native heritage. It is an American idiom with African roots, a trunk of souls with limbs reaching in every direction."
Okay.
So that's on the wall there. And so continuing in, looks like, all right, so there's three different paths to choose here. Forward and straight kind of leads into the same place. It's called Massey Hall. And then to the left, looks like a little exhibit. I'll go ahead and check that out first because,
okay.
Yeah, so this looks like there is a little like viewing room. So there's several benches that are in a rough circle in the middle of the room. On one side, there is a projector screen that says John H. Baker Jazz Film Collection.
Okay.
And then there is a room leading off to the right that looks like it's like a children's room. It's got it's super brightly colored. On the floor, it's got a rug that teaches you how to do the Lindy Hop. There's places for kids to do like photos and cutouts and faces. So it looks like this kind of nook of the museum is mostly for children. They probably looks like I saw on the on the main website that they do different like art programs and music programs with kids. And so this looks like the area that they do that in.
Okay.
So I'll go back out to the main exhibit hall. All right. So entering in, there's a big sign that says Massey Hall, and it's got a picture of a man. He is not labeled. He is, I would assume, Massey, but he's got a saxophone, and then in front of him there is a little display case. The display case has a photo in the back that it looks like it's actually several photos. There's a photo of Bud Powell, one of Charles Mingus, Max Roach, and Dizzy Gillespie. And then there's another quote by Dizzy Gillespie. It says, "Just prior to going on the bandstand, we decided what we're going to play on that particular concert." So it was pure spontaneity. That's the thing about that date. So it was pure spontaneity. It was like, okay, we'll rehearse 2 or 3 hours here. We just went on stage and things began to happen.
Do they actually have a date for that?
Yeah, that is Cool Blues 79. That was 1979. It doesn't have a specific date. But in that little display case, there is a saxophone that is kind of center point. There are 2 albums. There's Jazz at Massey Hall, and then there is Charlie Parker with Strings. Then there is a sign. Looks like it's like a bill sign from a concert. It says Jazz Festival, Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker, Bud Powell, Max Roach, and Charles Mingus. It's 5 CNC All-Stars 17-piece orchestra led by Graham Topping. Massey Hall tonight at 8:30 p.m. Tickets now at all agents and Premier. And I can't make out that word, the last one. And there's actually, okay, here's the date of the concert. There's actually, to the left of the display, there is an information panel. It says the concert on May 15th, 1953, Charlie Parker, trumpeter Dizzy Gillespie, pianist Bud Powell, bassist Charles Mingus, and drummer Max Roach played Toronto's Massey Hall. This performance is considered to be one of the greatest in jazz history. The plastic saxophone before you is the one used by Parker at that concert.
Wow.
So I didn't even realize so the saxophone is white, and so I guess it is plastic with like kind of brass elements to it.
Okay. So I'm assuming the keys would be brass. The saxophone itself would be the white, maybe, or
yes, like the actual like horn itself is white. It looks like it's like a blend of brass and plastic, or it's like a where they'll put like a shiny coat on plastic, but it looks brass. The buttons themselves are actually white like plastic, but the like the flaps that go over the openings that the buttons open up, those are brass.
Nice. Okay.
Moving on the right hand side of the room, there is an audio station, and this is one of the things I noticed that was neat about the museum was all over the museum there's these audio stations that have different sounds and music and stuff that are related to different topics. There's a device that puts the sound down direct, so if you're 3 feet away, you can't hear it. This one particular says, during the Prohibition era of the 1920s and 30s, Kansas City had nearly round-the-clock music and dancing in its many clubs and dance halls. Within these energized African-American musicians within these energized surroundings, African-American musicians developed innovative blues and jazz of great excitement and integrity. This music of Kansas City set new standards of artistry. And then it looks like there are 8 different buttons and there's 8 pages there. So it looks like 8 different songs. And I can't zoom in fully far enough to make it out, but it looks like lyrics on one side and then like a either quote or little description on the other side. So that would be a cool thing if people were wanting to use the museum promotion. That's something that they could take part in.
Yeah. So if you were live in person physically at the museum, you could listen in on the listening stations.
Yeah, exactly. And there's several of them just in this one room. Just spinning the view around, I can see 4.
Okay. And they don't tell you what they actually are in terms of songs and lyrics. They just are.
It doesn't, like the panels just kind of show like the general topic.
Very cool.
Like here's another one here. Let's see if I can get the camera to where I can read it.
So because of this kind of view, we have the audience participants who can see are able to really see this room and see all the things you would.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like Google Maps Street View. So you can kind of click around and then you can, it's like a 360 view. So you can progress your view along and then look around and then you can zoom in. Here's one. It's next to a display that says Armstrong Aquaba. And then there's a panel that says innovation or innovator. Rooted in the spirituals and blues of African-American culture, Louis Armstrong used his artistry to create jazz and original American music that express African-American thoughts and feelings. As the first great jazz soloist, Armstrong amazed listeners with his instrumental virtuosity and his stylistic innovations.
Wow.
He paved the way for future musicians. And then I can read at least one of the titles in this one, like because the book is open. It has 8 as well. Ain't Misbehaving by Louis Armstrong. And then to the right, the display has a bunch of different photographs with captions. The captions are a little blurry through this feed, but there's a photo of Louis Armstrong in looks like with Richard Nixon. Not positive. But it's a white man in a suit, slick back hair. There's Armstrong like in the middle of, looks like a orchestra band. There's a guy with a trombone. I see a tuba. There's person on drums that are kind of like marching drums. He's the only black man in the photo. It's all white guys. And it says in the back there's a sign that says Armstrong. Yeah, I can't make out the rest of it, but it's a very jovial scene. Like Armstrong's got like a huge smile on his face, and they look like younger guys. And they all seem really excited to be there. There is a picture of Armstrong playing the trumpet in front of the Sphinx. There is a like a playbill that says Satchmo the Great, the world's ambassador of jazz. Starring Louis Armstrong and Edward Murrow, I believe. There is a album cover, Ambassador Satch. There is a book looks like a book. It says Jazz Films. It could be a VHS, but it looks like it might be too thin.
And what does that album cover actually look like?
Yeah,
I mean, is there a description?
Sure thing. It is a white black background. It's like solid white, and then in the center of the album is a black and white photo of Armstrong, like in a 3-piece suit. The suit has tails, and he's carrying a briefcase. and across his head it says Ambassador Satch, and it looks like it's in pink lettering.
Mm-hmm.
And then the upper right there is some kind of like studio mark. It says LP in pink.
Okay. All right. And this is still in this first exhibit room. We haven't even gotten outside, and this is already rich with a lot of interesting
Yes.
information.
Yeah, there's several rooms kind of branching from this one, but yeah, there's a bunch more exhibits like
My gosh,
just
you'd
in
have to
this
tear me
area.
away from the Louis Armstrong stuff.
I know.
Here's one on Charlie Parker. I can read that if you guys would like.
I if you can maybe share a couple of more names, and then we can.
Yeah. Here, let's kind of go around to the other side.
Because what I'm wondering is if the museum mostly has the older musicians from the bebop era, or do we move forward from there to contemporary jazz?
Yeah, let's see.
Because it's all good.
I'll progress further into. All right, here's a room that it looks like it's kind of geared towards teaching kind of the musical aspects of jazz.
Mhm.
There's different panels and stations around the room. It's a semicircular shaped room. On one wall, there are there are desks that have like an interactive panel, and then on the other wall there are like little booths. They look like listening stations.
Mm-hmm.
So when you first come in, the first panel says harmony. And then underneath it, it says harmony refers to the sounding of two or more notes at the same time. It is used to support and enhance the melody. Harmony can be created by a single instrument or by several different instruments playing together. And then there's a interactive panel that says it takes years for musicians to develop their playing skills. Even so, you can get a taste of what it's like to perform jazz by trying this program. Sit in as the pianist in a four-piece band playing Django. You'll control how the harmony sounds. And then there is a panel that has five buttons underneath and 5 buttons to the left. The buttons underneath are like selector buttons that control different settings, like in a column. So the first one says original or harmony, so you can switch between original and harmony. Second button says stylized, harmonic, or rhythm. Fourth one, counter, melody tune, to create, or harmony. Fourth one says sparse, chords, or I can't quite make out that word. And then the last one says reharmonies, chord, or progressions.
So this would be, I can't imagine how much fun this would be in person. So I've got to put this on my museum bucket list.
Yeah, so you'll kind of be mixing the music or selecting music real time. The next little station is called Thinking in Jazz. Over. It says jazz is a musical language, and group performance can be thought of as a musical conversation. By using a shared vocabulary of phrases, compositional forms, performance principles, and knowledge of traditions, individual musicians can come together as a band to improvise and expand on each other. And then it says, in the mix, a jazz record is greatly affected by technology. At this mixing station, you can play the role of an audio engineer working on a recording of Fables of Faubus. You'll be able to determine each of the 6 instruments' volume, stereo positioning, and room sound. And so then it looks like that is actually a touch screen display on that one, not like the physical buttons on that one. And they have 2 of those stations. And then there's another touch screen in the middle that says listening to jazz, and there's headphones next to it. It says like a little listening station. And
Mhm.
also on these panels, there's quotes. I can read those as well. There's one from on this one. There's one
Oh,
from
yes.
Milt Hinton and Joe Jones. Milt Hinton says, "What makes a great jazzman is experience. Unless you've had experience and lived, what could you have to say on your instrument?" And then Joe Jones says, "All jazz musicians express themselves through their instruments and express the type of person they are, the experience they've had during the day, during the night before, and during their lives."
So, because we have the privilege of IRA agents at the ready, if I was standing in this museum, I would go run back over to the Charlie Parker exhibit. And then I'd probably want to run over to Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington. Janine, jump in if you have one of these you'd want us to
you're
run
hitting all
to.
my favorites.
Because there's just so much here. I mean, this is amazing that we haven't even scratched the surface. But
And
so yeah, let's go back over to Charlie Parker.
okay. On the way to go over there, I
Mhm.
discovered a exhibit in a hall that
Uh-oh.
in the hall that's pretty cool. It's an exhibit on cover photography.
Oh,
It
okay.
says, "Over the years, many accomplished photographers have chronicled the jazz scene. You see their work throughout the museum. In the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, several of these artists sold their works to record companies for album covers. Like the artists they photographed, their styles had distinct personalities. Compare, for instance, Robert Berenson's contemplative portrait of Charles Mingus on East Coasting with Herman Leonard's playful picture of Dizzy Gillespie on Dizzy in Greece."
Mhm.
I will find those two. All right, I see East Coasting.
So the East Coasting is a cover, right? You
Yeah,
said?
it's a
Okay.
cover. It's a grayscale photo. It's of a man. He's got a upright bass. It looks like in a case strung over his left shoulder. He's got his hands in his pocket, and he is looking. He's kind of at an angle from the camera. He's kind of angled back into the left, so he's looking to the right slightly at camera. He's looking dead at camera, and then in the background, it looks like he's on a coastline because there's like water in the background. There's
Mhm.
some kind of like platform in the water, but on the far side, I can see it looks like mountains or hills. So it looks like some kind of bay.
Mhm. Okay.
And then I haven't seen the Dizzy Gillespie in Greece yet.
I'm going
There,
to say a big hello to Wayne, who is a musician in our audience, who is listening. And
Hello
Wayne
there.
is a jazz musician himself, so
all right.
Nice.
and an Ira explorer. In fact, Wayne has written a great jazz song about Ira.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar
Nice.
with it. It's great.
Is that on our IRA channel? Hope YouTube channel?
You know, it should be. Wayne has it on his YouTube channel. We'll have to get a link to it and put that video
Okay.
link to that for our channel.
Right.
Here's another info panel on cover design. It says,
Uh-huh.
perhaps even more than original art and photography, the look of a jazz album cover was determined by its design, the cover's layout, color palette, and typography. The best designers, who often went uncredited, managed to both create a product that attracted potential buyers and capture the spirit of the music within. Look at the splashy color used in Emmett McBain's cover for The Magic of Sarah Vaughan, or the elegant, bold design of Sketches of Spain.
Hmm.
So, The Magic of Sarah Vaughan, it's like a fuchsia background, and then the center of the album, it stretches all the way to the right, is a sketch of a person. And basically it's just the eyebrows, the eyes, and the nose.
Oh,
And it looks like just like a really quick, rough sketch.
with this fuchsia background.
Yeah, with a
That's
fuchsia
gotta be
background. And
Mhm.
then at the top it says The Magic of Sarah Vaughan, and each word is on its own line, and they're all kind of off center of each other.
Mhm.
Except for Sarah Vaughan is all one line. And then Magic has like a so the of and Sarah Vaughan are all like a off-white yellow color, and then Magic is blue and white, like kind of alternating. M is blue.
Mhm. Very nice.
ASY. And then at the very bottom, it says high fidelity in like block outline letters, and then custom is written kind of over the high fidelity, like in between the two, slightly overlapping them, and that's in like a white script.
These would be great to have on a wall, you know, if these covers could be had.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, and the effect of, because I mean there's a good 20 to 30 albums here, and so the effect of them all kind of together, because it's all different colors. Some are black and white, some, there's a bright orange one from Dizzy Gillespie that has like a it's got a trumpet, but the trumpet has like almost African designs on it. It's got kind of looks like you would see on a drum, like an African drum. And then where the horn is, there's like a half face kind of looking out. And over top.
Gosh, I remember that album cover. I know I've seen that before. When I had vision growing up, I remember seeing that album cover.
That's awesome.
Very striking.
Absolutely.
It is. It's very, very bold. It sticks out. I can keep describing these, or I can go on. It's up to y'all.
Well, we'll go back over to Charlie Parker, and then maybe hit one of the ladies of jazz.
All right.
And we do have actually a link for Wayne's YouTube video. And what we'll do whenever we have this as a podcast, we'll go ahead and put that link in the show notes for everybody, so you can take a look at that, and we'll link to it in our YouTube channel here.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking for him.
And I know one of the album covers that I remember as a kid was Dinah Washington's September in the Rain. And I love that album cover because it looked like there were two people under an umbrella, and the water and the rain was reflecting off of everything, so it looked like they were standing on water. It was the coolest photography ever. It was really neat.
Okay, Caleb, time to scramble.
All right,
I'm gonna have to find that one.
All right, here's a display that says Charlie Parker Bird. It's got 3 albums on it. One says Bebop Jazz. One says Savoy Presents Bebop and New Sounds in Modern Music. There's a quote next to it from Buddy DeFranco. It's from Celebrating Bind, page 12. It says, he was a deep, extremely knowledgeable person. Though self-taught, his technique was just perfect, as though he had years of schooling. He's the only person in jazz who's influenced the entire world of jazz, every bit of it. And then let's go around to the other side, see if there's more information over there. Nope, not there. All right. In the late 1930s and early 1940s, a group of African-American musicians met nightly in Harlem at jam sessions where they experimented with and refined their innovative approach to jazz. Later labeled bebop and modern jazz, their music combined extended harmonic voicings and melodic approaches with new styles of phrasing, often at fast tempos. And that is a listening station as well.
I bet it is.
I saw... There was an exhibit I saw in passing while I was looking for that. Sometimes it's kind of hard to. Well,
and I don't think I'm helping Caleb because I keep trying to move you here and move you there.
Oh, you're good.
But it's so I just want to interject for everybody. It's so easy to do this when you have IRA agents. You can visit one of these places on your own or with a group of friends or family members and have IRA in your ear while you're walking through, so you're not as dependent on others to describe, because they may mean well, but when IRA agents describe, you see the richness of the description from them. So I appreciate you, Caleb, for letting me move you over one way and another.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. I love museums. All right, so I found a Ella Fitzgerald exhibit.
Okay.
There's a quote from Duke Ellington. It says, Ella Fitzgerald is a great philanthropist. She gives so generously of her talent, not only to the public, but to the composers whose work she performs. There's a listening station that says vocal tradition. It says the roots of jazz singing can be found in African vocal traditions and in such African American music as spirituals, field hollers, work songs, and blues. In jazz, voices are used as instruments and instruments as voices. Singers, like instrumentalists, must be creative and innovative while conveying sincere feelings and emotions. Then to the left-hand side of that, there's an exhibit that looks like it has some different, I can't quite zoom in on all of the placards that kind of describe them, but in the centerpiece is a dress. It's like a full length, long sleeve dress. And it's like shimmery. It has several different colors, and they're in vertical stripes. So you got vertical stripes, and then as they're going down, the colors alternate: silver, gold, bronze, silver, gold, bronze, like kind of back and forth. But they're not the horizontal lines of the colors are not like solid lines, like they're jagged. So some of the vertical strips of different colors like are higher, some are lower, so it creates like a jagged effect. And so it just makes it look like the light is constantly catching it in different ways, even when it's still.
Would you say it was a multicolored, shimmery, zebra-esque kind of pattern?
Not, I wouldn't say zebra.
Not zebra.
It's more kind of like in my head, like I think of like geological layers.
Oh, okay.
You know, and so like there's strata. And so it kind of like just
what a beautiful image.
It's going up. Yeah.
Janine, can you picture strata?
That so goes with her voice too. That just I can just see those two just together in the performance. Oh man.
To the right there is looks like an album cover. It says the world's greatest jazz, or it might be a playbill. It says the world's greatest jazz, Norman's gang at the Philharmonic. It's got Ella Fitzgerald, Oscar Peterson, Flip Phillips, Roy Eldridge, Ray Brown, Gene Krupa, Illinois Jacket, Lester Young, Bill Harris, Hayne Jones. And from the angle that it says 1950 something. I can't make out the last number. There's a sign that says Ella Duke. Herman Grants presents for the first time in one concert the greatest voice and the greatest orchestra in jazz. There's a picture of Ella standing. She's in a red dress, real reminiscent of like the Jackie Kennedy dress. She even has like kind of the circular cap, but this one's red. It's got long sleeves, and she's standing next to a convertible that has red seats, and the driver's door is open. So and what color is the actual car? Is it also red? Or I can't. It's not red. I can't be sure just because of the shading. It looks to be like a green, like a, but it also just could be kind of the color. But then to the left there is a poster. It says Ella Fitzgerald, Joe Pass, the Paul Smith Trio, 2 weeks only, beginning January 22nd, Westwood Playhouse, and it's actually signed. It says poor Ella Fitzgerald, and this looks like sun. It's kind of illegible script. I can't quite make it out, but then it looks like there's numbers underneath. It says 6628570. Okay. And then at the top of the poster there is a sketch drawing, and it says Ella to the left, And then the sketch is of a woman, but it's very, very simplistic. Like the head, so it's just the head and breasts. It's a single line, starts at like the base of the back of the head, the base of the head, goes up, and it's in profile. So you see the profile go over the side of the head. You see the nose, you see the top lip, and the mouth is open, and there are like kind of lines coming from the mouth. It goes down the chin, neckline, and then the same line forms like two breasts, and then the line ends about where the shoulder would be. And then there's also just like kind of a just like real curly like kind of hastily drawn spirals that are for the hair.
Okay. So a little quick sketch of her.
Yeah. On the right side, there's a bunch of different memorabilia and info panels. There's memorabilia photos. First one says, "Reaching for the Moon." Ella Fitzgerald's dream of becoming a dancer and singer sustained her through tough times. She was orphaned at age 15. In 1934, Ella decided to try her luck at an amateur night contest in Harlem. When stage fright prevented her from dancing as planned, she sang instead. The audience's enthusiasm encouraged her to compete in more contests. Her fame grew, and in 1935, at the age of 17, Fitzgerald was hired by Chick Webb Orchestra.
Wow.
There's another one that says "Stairways to the Stars." Ella Fitzgerald's work with drummer Chick Webb and his orchestra catapulted her into the national limelight. The orchestra's late 1930s hit recordings of "A Tisket, a Tasket," "Flatfoot Floogie," and "My Last Affair" featured her outstanding singing and helped establish Ella as one of the greatest vocalists of the swing era. When Webb died in 1939, she became the orchestra's leader, a rare opportunity for an African-American woman.
So she became the orchestra leader, you say, in 1939?
Yes, 1939, she became the leader.
So that, I think, would have made her 21 or so? Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
She was the first lady of jazz. As modern jazz expanded in the 1940s, so did Ella Fitzgerald's musical brilliance. She responded to bebop with a style of scat singing that rivaled the top jazz instrumentalists and earned the respect of musicians and fans alike. Her work over the next 40 years, including the famous songbook recordings, clearly illustrated the incredible range of her talent. Her vocal wizardry and rapport with the audience led her to be known as the First Lady of Jazz.
Awesome.
She actually has 2 listening stations in her little alcove.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I absolutely love her album with Louis Armstrong. Well, I think she's got a couple of them, actually, with Louis Armstrong. They're incredible if you get to listen to those.
And then there's several different photos. They're captioned. There's one here. It looks like it's Fitzgerald, and I think it says Charlie Parker. I'm not positive, but Fitzgerald has a microphone in her hand. She's got like a big, like kind of feathered cap. It's like a big poof like on her head. She has a dress on that looks like it is it's like embroidered and bejeweled. It's got like triangles and lines on it. And the man in the background is looking at her while she's singing, just like with it kind of looks like he's like, "Oh, you're singing," like, you know, like, "Oh, you're doing it," like that kind of look. It's there's a little bit of shock and kind of incredulity on his face.
That's beautiful. So maybe with the time left, we can move over to possibly Sarah Vaughan.
I haven't seen her yet. I will see if I can find her, because I think there's like a whole nother floor that
I'm sure. I'm sure.
And I will give everybody, while we're moving over there, I'll give everybody the website, the specific URL for these exhibits,
That's
and
the
they are part of what the Jazz Museum is calling their at-home set. And it's for those of us who are now trapped again due to the pandemic at home and are looking for something really interesting to check out. And that is americanjazzmuseum.org/JZM. I'm sorry, AJM. AJM at home, all one word. So the letters A is in Alpha, J is in Juliet, M is in Mary, at home, ATHOME. And there you can see this virtual tour that Caleb is walking us through and what we'll go over in our next episode, which we'll tell you about at the end here.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you.
I haven't found her yet. I
Well,
found
that's okay. Yeah, let's see who else we have.
I found the Louis Armstrong like dedicated exhibit. He was mentioned earlier.
Yes,
So
let's listen to that.
He's also got 2 listening stations.
Of
The
course.
first one is labeled The Ambassador. It says Louis Armstrong, also known as Satchmo, shortened from Satchel Mouth, his childhood nickname, was widely recognized as a cultural ambassador of goodwill. Armstrong toured dozens of foreign countries, often with sponsorship from the U.S. Department of State. His spirited music and vibrant personality came to symbolize American vitality for fans everywhere. And to the right of that, there is a display that has one of his trumpets.
Okay.
And there's a quote from Frank Marshall Davis. It says, "As for me personally, nothing in all jazz has topped hearing Louis Armstrong's challenge the world with his defiant horn back in the late 1920s and early 1930s, distilling the meaning of black in sharps and flats in a way he was incapable of telling it by words and actions."
Mm-hmm.
And then to the left of that, there's several photos. There's one of him. It's close up on his face. His face is kind of contorted. His lips are pursed, and he's blowing into the trumpet. There's another one where he's standing and singing in front of a microphone. His hands are kind of outstretched to his side. His head is stretched back. You know, his mouth is wide open, like he's clearly fully in it.
Yeah.
There is another one where he is in a suit. He's looking down the camera as he kisses a trumpet. And then there's another one where it's a profile of him looking to the right, and he is tying a tie. There is another one where it's cut off. It looks like he's standing in front of some awards, perhaps. He's got kind of a forced smile on his face. He's looking off to the right. And then there's another, it looks like a concert performance, like he's standing out front, and then I can see a couple orchestra members behind him. The other listening station says Louis Armstrong grew up in the turn of the century New Orleans, surrounded by the music of the city's busy African American community. By the age of 17, he was performing on Mississippi River excursion boats and in many New Orleans cabarets. Louis spent the 20s in Chicago and New York, honing improvisations that would set a new standard for jazz. And then there are several like info panels, and see if I can. All right, there's one. It doesn't look like I'm gonna be able to angle that. Oh, I might be able. All right, it says Crescent City origins. Louis Armstrong was born on August 4th, 1904. It looks like it's a little blurry. In New Orleans, a city rich in African American music and culture, an important city's early center of jazz. New Orleans provided Armstrong many opportunities to hear brass bands, music singers, gospel choirs, church spirituals. Can't read the next one. And bands and street musicians.
Okay.
Early on in his performance career, Louis was influenced by legendary local musicians Joe King Oliver and looks like Fate or Pate Marble. Next one says leaving New Orleans. Louis Armstrong was called to Chicago in 1922 to work with Joe King Oliver's Creole Jazz Band. In 1924, Armstrong joined Fletcher's Henderson Orchestra and moved to New York. During his tenure with Henderson, Lewis's sense of swing contributed to spellbinding improvisations that expressed deep musical logic and powerful emotion. In 1925, Louis returned to Chicago, where he made influential recordings in the Hot 5 and the Hot 7 bands. Contribution. The magnitude of Louis Armstrong's musical contributions to the world of jazz music is overwhelming. He pioneered innovative approaches to improvisation, developed virtuoso techniques for trumpet and cornet, defined new rhythmic and melodic devices, and gave jazz the soulful feeling known as swing. Louis also exposed the world to African-American vocal style known as scat singing. Transcending racial stereotypes, attitudes, and prejudices, Armstrong reached out to all of America and the world.
So, Caleb, I have a question for you, because
Sure.
what you just read, you mentioned trumpet and cornet, the instrument. Is there a picture of both cornet and trumpet that you could describe for us?
I'm not familiar with the cornet, so I'm gonna Google it to see.
Yeah,
if
let's do it. I mean, I
Okay.
heard of it, but I don't know what the difference is in terms of how they look.
Okay, so appearance-wise, they're almost identical. Here, I'm gonna pull that over so anyone looking can see. So the cornet is basically like it looks like a squished in trumpet. Like it's shorter. It's about 2/3 the size, like the length of a normal trumpet.
Okay. Maybe less keys.
It says the cornet is a brass instrument similar to the trumpet, but distinguished by its conical bore, more compact shape, and mellower tone quality. The most common cornet is transposing instruments in, I think it's B flat, though there is also a soprano cornet in E flat and cornets in A and C.
So when you guys are walking through the museum with family and friends, and they're wondering about the cornet, you could just pop off with that little tidbit on what that is.
Like a superpower.
Right.
Absolutely.
Here's a little ad. It says Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club presents Louis Armstrong and his exquisite all-star band. 1949, King Zulu, Sunday, February 27th, 1949, Booker T. Washington Auditorium. And then in the center, it's got a picture of Armstrong smiling at the camera with his hand in the pocket, right hand in his pocket, left hand on a trumpet.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that will be the time of Mardi Gras in New Orleans, that date in late February. Yeah.
Quite possibly, yeah. So I'm curious to see if they have any information about the Preservation Hall Jazz Band, because that's like the quintessential New Orleans, New Orleans jazz.
Yes.
It was leading up to Mardi Gras. So actual Mardi Gras, or I guess that's Tuesday. So yeah, it was about that week. So Fat Tuesday was March 1st that year.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. That was late that year.
So Preservation Hall, do we have some information on that? Here in the beautiful Jazz Museum.
Walkthrough. And you know, we have not even made it through, you know, half of this part of the tour.
We've only hit the exhibits that had people's names on it. There's other ones, like this one says the early years. And so it's got information. There's one that says the Ellington Orchestra. The Duke Ellington Orchestra was a sophisticated musical ensemble that many consider beyond category. This orchestra demonstrated that the music commonly known as jazz could be lyrical, complex, and socially meaningful. Ellington's music expressed the full range of African American life experiences. His innovative arrangements and orchestrations contributed significantly to developing a broader conception of music as a medium of artistic expression. And then there's several pictures of Duke Ellington and his band. There's one picture of Duke Ellington, and he's in like pants and a blazer, slacks and a blazer, and he is running from a group of women, like young
Well, he was
girls.
quite a handsome guy, as I recall seeing the picture. So,
Oh, and he has a
People say
giant smile on his face while he's doing it. Really,
So,
in all of the photos, he has a really big smile. Like he's definitely
yeah,
had like
a happy guy. Well,
yeah.
maybe, as we approach the conclusion of the show, Caleb, you can just share with us, not to say it negatively, but all the things we've missed, because there's just so much to see here in this
Yeah.
particular part of I think it's the at-home area.
Yeah. So you're talking about just like describing
just the
images?
general, like what else is here?
Yeah.
Should
So
anyone wish to explore on their own, what might they get a taste
so there's
of?
the early years.
Mm-hmm.
There's another panel here. Oh, here's the Charlie Parker panel. I found it. So it was the panel that like I had mentioned. It's the audio panel that I had mentioned I couldn't see. I found an angle that I can zoom in on it. So it says Charlie Parker's contribution to jazz is truly outstanding. A gifted and original performer, he astounded listeners with his fantastic techniques and transformed the basic elements of African American blues through harmonic and melodic innovations. Parker's brilliant and challenging compositions have become standards in the modern jazz repertoire. And then so then there's a wall that has like info panels there. Here, we can go, now that I know where it is, we can go back. In kind of the entryway, like once you come from the hallway, there's a big open room that has a grand piano in it. And then above it, kind of hanging from the ceiling, there's all kinds of like vintage neon signs. One says Hotel Street, Fox's Tap Room, Milton's Tap Room, New Orleans Room, Cocktails Dancing, Top Hat Grill, Pink Door, Jazz. Here's an exhibit titled The Early Years, or the Later Years, rather. We saw the early years there. And so that looks more like modern. Info panel from that says, beyond category. According to his sister Ruth, one of Duke Ellington's mottos was no boxes. His music transcended categories, and he wore many musical hats. Accomplished pianist, brilliant composer, and imaginative arranger, Ellington did not like his music to be called jazz because he believed the term was too limiting. He often referred to his music as Negro folk music, drawing from such African American musical traditions as spirituals, work songs, and blues to create new orchestral colors and sounds. One thing that like would be better done in person that is being missed out in this tour is all of the photos that I've mentioned or described. They all have info panels underneath them. This is the first one that I've actually been able to read any of them. So there's a picture here of Ellington. The bottom says Ellington wrote his first full-length film score in 1959 for Anatomy of a Murder. He's shown here with Otto Preminger, the man's director. And they're standing in front of a sign that says Anatomy of a Murder. The letters murder or the words are transposed over like a black and white body. It's vaguely reminiscent of like a police sketch outline, but it's like blocks and pieces. Like it's not connected. Like there's arm, body, the legs, they're all separated. Here's another one. Can't read that. Here's one of Ellington. He's like flexing, or he's smiling real big, and he's flexing a record. It says like kind of bending it, so it's crescent shape. It says in 1942, Duke Ellington incorporated Tempo Music, one of the first musician-owned publishing companies. In this picture, zoomed. I accidentally clicked instead of dragging. Got to go back.
I think you are going to have a big fan with Wayne here. And while you are going back there, Caleb, I want to let everybody know that you can indeed browse this particular exhibit and all of the others at the American Jazz Museum to your heart's content through the end of 2020 with our museum offer for the Association of African American Museums, of which the Jazz Museum is a member. So you can come in here and spend as long as your heart wants looking at this stuff.
Yes.
And there are, on these pages too, I believe there are some playlists for Spotify. If you're a Spotify subscriber, you can download these playlists. And
yeah, there's definitely there's way more at the museum at home stuff than just the virtual tour. There's
just an amazing amount of stuff here, and I could spend, as we always say with all the museums, I could just spend a day, just easily a day or more in this one.
Absolutely. Well, in our last few minutes here, I wanted to let everybody know that the second part of this tour is going to be of their digital collection, and we may pop back over here to this particular part, the virtual tour again too, and that will be on. Let me get my Braille calendar. Here it is. And that will be on Friday, December the 4th. Can you believe it's going to be December already?
Yes.
Friday,
by the
December
time we
4th.
Well, by the time we meet again, we will have had our virtual Thanksgiving dinners.
Right.
We'll have had an opportunity to enjoy the games and enjoy each other's company virtually. We'll be safe and able to return in 2 weeks and enjoy another museum presentation.
Seems unbelievable that it's almost December of 2020.
Yes.
Though.
Yes.
I just can't. I just.
Yeah.
You know, if you all are sitting around with your family and wondering, okay, we're really bored, what can we do? You know, some of us don't want to watch football. Well, I kind of think we might have found something.
Afternoon at the Museum podcast, YouTube channel, IRA YouTube channel. You know, Agent Caleb with his great, awesome descriptions. This beautiful museum with its 360 views. You know, and I hope for those who can see it, whether you're low vision, partial vision, or fully sighted, that you have appreciated what we've tried to bring today. And there's just no way in this 1 hour we could have covered it all. But through the beauty and magic of IRA and what they do, it's been really great to have had the description.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you so much, Stephanie, for being the host of these programs. We so appreciate you taking us.
You do such a good job. I got to give it out to you.
Yeah.
Like you do such a great job. So
thank you. You all make it. You make it easy. I mean, technical stuff is technical. I think what we have all learned in our new virtual Zoom world is tech happens. I think
I learned that way before Zoom, but
I feel that way so much more now. It's exponential.
But finally, we'll give a giant thank you to our agent today, Caleb, and the other agents that have joined us.
Oh, happy to be
joining
here.
us on our
and send Caleb some claps there, YouTube or Zoom folks. Send him out some claps. Yeah.
Hopefully I didn't make anyone seasick.
We don't think so. Yeah. This has been
That's
great.
great.
I have one quick question, Janine, if I can just jump in here.
Certainly.
Just to whet up appetites, Caleb, have you noticed whether there's a gift shop here at the Jazz Museum?
Ooh.
There was not one in the Jazz Museum proper, but outside, there was one. Here, I'll go back out there. Like in the main lobby.
In the main lobby.
There is a gift shop there. Here, it looks like I might actually be able to go around in it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
See,
no, it
I'm
won't let me go
telling you.
fully in it, but I can zoom in.
Okay.
I see T-shirts. There's some books, crossword, looks like specialized crossword puzzles. I see CDs. Looks like
Mhm.
Oh, I bet.
different artwork, keychains.
Keychains, nice.
Ooh, how fun.
All
I wonder if
right.
they're musical.
I see some
Doing some-
gloves,
Doing some Ira gift shopping.
There you
postcards.
go. Well, you know, Wayne wants the Louis Armstrong trumpet. That's what he wants.
Right? Yeah.
All right.
Wayne could play it
I'm
too.
with you there, Wayne. Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. And as I said, we'll be back again with more from the Jazz Museum. And we will take a little break then for December. And we will come back with our Kwanzaa special between the Christmas and New Year holidays when Kwanzaa is celebrated. So we're going to learn all about that.
Yes.
And then in January, we're taken to the skies. So we'll
Hey.
let you all guess what that is going to be, but it will be more fun. And
I'm excited.
we
I
appreciate
can't wait.
your support of Afternoon at the museum.
Yes. Yes.
Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving.